Today is the anniversary of Paul Revere's ride, so let's talk about it. Now, there were several riders that night, and they had two missions. The first, of course, was to warn Lexington, Concord, and the surrounding areas of a British incursion. The second was to warn Sam Adams and John Hancock, who were wanted men, that the British were going to be in their area. Dr. Joseph Warren, who was a son of liberty and beloved town doctor, who tragically died too soon in the Battle of Bunker Hill or the Battle of Breed's Hill. He is the one who sent 4 riders on their journey. He sent Paul Revere, Isaac Bristol, Samuel Prescott, and William Dawes. Now, you may have heard of a 5th rider, a tomboy, a girl, Sybil Ludington. But her involvement is a massive lie that her clout-chasing nephew made up sometime in the 1800s to a women's group. And now it's become folklore of our country. Now, Sybil existed. She collected a pension. There's no record of her ever doing this. And there's meticulous records of everything else. But Josie, what if she wasn't reported because she was a woman? Well, she kept her own personal diary too, a meticulous one, and never said a word about any of this. She had other stuff that she did that day, but none of it was traveling twice as far as Paul Revere and at twice the speed of Paul Revere. None of that happened. It's just folklore, and, that's what America's built on. Women were celebrated in that time. There was Deborah Sampson, who later received an award for her work. There was Abigail Adams. There was Molly Pitcher and all the Molly Pitchers. So if you were a woman and you did something good, you weren't ignored. That would have been tremendous, but it just didn't happen. Moving on. In 1774 and 1775, the Massachusetts Committee of Correspondence and the Committee of Safety employed Paul Revere as an express rider. He would carry news and messages and important documents as far away as New York and Philadelphia. He actually rode after the Boston Tea Party to tell everybody that happened too. He had the fastest horse and was the best rider. So after seeing 2 lanterns in the North Church Tower, Paul Revere would row across the Charles and be met with his horse and proceed to Monotony onto Lexington. Monotony is now Arlington. William Dawes was dispatched over a longer route. He went to Lexington via Boston Neck, Roxbury, Brookline, Cambridge, and Monotony. William Dawes would alert towns along the way and then meet Paul Revere, whose mission was to get to John Hancock and Sam Adams. Paul Revere did arrive first to the Hancock House in Lexington. And as he approached the house where the men were staying, Sergeant Monroe, who was acting as guard outside the house, requested to Revere that he not make much noise. Revere responded, "Noise? You'll have enough before long. The regulars are coming out." Now, according to records, John Hancock, who was still awake, heard Revere's voice and said, "Come in, Revere, we're not afraid of you." Thus, Revere entered the house and delivered the message. There, Revere waited for Dawes, who would arrive shortly after. The 2 left the house and met up with Samuel Prescott, and the 3 rode on to Concord. However, they were met by some redcoats and were forced to split up. After that, Dawes was thrown from his horse and was forced to walk back on foot to Lexington. Prescott made it to Concord and was able to warn everybody to prepare. Paul Revere was captured by redcoats. Bet you didn't know that. Now, that 4th rider, Isaac Bristol, he would make the longest journey. And he actually was sent on his journey on April 13th, as soon as there was correspondence. And his mission was to travel the old post road. He had to warn the neighboring colonies down to Philadelphia. So what happened to Paul Revere when he was captured? Well, according to Paul Revere, he was held for some time before he was released, and they confiscated his horse, and according to him, replaced it with, quote, "a tired mount of a British sergeant." Then he was left alone on the road. Paul Revere returned to Lexington on foot, and he witnessed the latter part of the Battle of Lexington Green. So while it was not a perfect execution, Sam Adams and John Hancock, they were never captured. The ammunition and the powder stores that the British were after were never confiscated. The cannons were never taken. Yes, the first battle of the Revolutionary War, the Battle of Lexington and Concord, was about gun confiscation. The redcoats, unprepared for a battle, retreated down Battle Road back to Boston, all the while being capped off by colonists hidden all down the 16-mile road. colonists were everywhere. And they were just shooting off redcoats like ducks in a barrel. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's a colonist. Oh my God, it's a bear. No, it's 3 colonists in a bear suit. 16 straight miles of this torture for the redcoats. But the colonists would win the battles of Lexington and Concord. And that was because of writers like Paul Revere. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and stay free.